best friend.
We just assumed that Tammy be the maid of honor.
Tammy called Amy a deadbeat mom.
I can't handle her toxic ass no more.
The hospital smelled like antiseptic and quiet fear. The white walls felt colder than they should have, almost as if they were absorbing the pain of everyone who passed through them. Machines hummed softly, their steady beeping the only proof that life was still fighting inside the room. Tammy Slaton sat stiffly in a plastic chair beside the hospital bed, her broad shoulders slumped forward as if the weight of the world had finally pressed her down. Her hands trembled as they clutched Andrea Dalton's fingers, thin, fragile, and far too still for someone who meant so much to her. Tammy bowed her head, tears sliding down her cheeks as whispered prayers escaped her lips. "Please, God," she murmured, her voice cracking. "Please don't take her from me. I can't lose her too." Andrea wasn't just Tammy's partner. She was her anchor, her safe place. The one person who saw Tammy beyond the jokes, beyond the cameras, beyond the reputation that followed her everywhere she went. Andrea had been the light that guided Tammy through some of her darkest seasons, the calm voice that reminded her she was worthy of love, even on the days she felt broken beyond repair. Andrea stirred slightly and forced a weak smile, her eyes soft despite the pain written across her face. "Baby," she whispered, "don't cry. We're gonna get through this. I promise." But Tammy couldn't stop. Seeing the woman she loved lying there, so small, so vulnerable, shattered something inside her. Tammy had already lost so much in life. Time, opportunities, friendships, and pieces of herself she knew she'd never get back. The thought of losing Andrea too felt unbearable, like the final blow she wouldn't survive. Just then, the door creaked open. Amy Slaton stepped inside. Her posture was calm, steady, almost protective. Her face was serious, but her eyes were warm. The kind of warmth that only comes from unconditional sisterly love. She took in the scene instantly. Tammy's trembling hands, her tear-streaked face, Andrea, lying pale and exhausted in the bed. Amy didn't hesitate. She crossed the room, placed a comforting hand on Tammy's shoulder, and knelt beside her sister. Her voice was soft but firm. "Tammy," she said gently, "you have to breathe." Tammy shook her head, tears spilling faster. "You don't understand, Amy. What if she doesn't make it? What if this is the end?" Amy tightened her grip on Tammy's hand, grounding her. "I talked to the doctor," she said calmly. "I asked every question you were too scared to ask. They said it's serious, but it's not as bad as we thought. Andrea's gonna need treatment, yeah, but she's strong. She's gonna get through this." Tammy stared at her sister, barely able to process the words. "She'll be able to go back to her normal life?" Amy continued. "This isn't the end. It's just a hard chapter." The tight knot in Tammy's chest slowly loosened. Her sobs softened into shaky breaths. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her hoodie, still afraid to believe it. "Are you sure?" she whispered. Amy nodded without hesitation. "I wouldn't lie to you about this. Andrea needs us strong right now. You can't fall apart, Tammy. You've got to trust her fight and God's plan." Tammy collapsed into her sister's arms, clinging to her like a lifeline. In that moment, she remembered something she'd forgotten in her fear. Amy wasn't just her sister. She was her rock. From the bed, Andrea let out a quiet laugh. "See," she said weakly. "Told you. Your sister's got your back. Even when you think you're breaking." Tammy leaned forward and pressed a gentle kiss to Andrea's hand. "I'm not going anywhere," she said softly. "Every treatment, every bad day, every good one, I'm right here." As the night stretched on, the three of them sat together, hands linked, drawing strength from one another. The beeping machines no longer felt terrifying. Instead, they sounded like proof that Andrea was still here, still fighting, still alive. Tammy knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. There would be fear, setbacks, and moments where she felt helpless. But she also knew she wasn't alone anymore. That night, Tammy didn't just pray for Andrea's healing. She prayed in gratitude, for love, for family, and for the reminder that even in life's darkest storms, light still finds a way through. Weeks later, on a lazy Thursday afternoon in Dixon, Kentucky, the mood couldn't have been more different. Amy sprawled across the couch, lazily crunching barbecue chips while Tammy scrolled through her phone. The house was quiet, heavy with boredom.
No YouTube. No TikTok.
No drama, Amy groaned.
I'm bored.
Suddenly, Tammy gasped. Amy looked up.
What?
You see a ghost or a sail? Tammy turned her phone around. Girl, they've got a burlesque dance class in Evansville tonight. Amy blinked. What in the mashed potato gravy mess is burlesque? Tammy grinned.
Fancy dancing.
Feathers.
Sparkles.
Confidence. And guess what? They got costumes for big girls. Amy burst out laughing. Tammy, you hate standing up. You really think you can dance? Tammy leaned back smugly. I ain't just dancing. I'm stealing the show. By 6 p.m., they were in Amy's car dressed like chaos incarnate. Amy rocked leopard print leggings, a neon pink tank top, and a thrift store feather boa. Tammy wore a glittery black top, red stretch pants, and sunglasses at night. When they arrived at Velvet Dream's dance studio, a tall woman named Miss Vivian greeted them with a knowing smile. Welcome to Burlesque Basics, ladies. Tonight we strut. We twirl. We own the stage. Amy whispered, Tammy, I can barely own my microwave. Tammy shot back, I've been owning couches for years. The class began with hip rolls and poses. Amy looked like she was wrestling an invisible hula hoop. Tammy, however, shocked everyone with her smooth swagger. Natural talent, baby, Tammy said proudly. Amy snorted. Yeah, a natural disaster. When they practiced the fan dance, the afternoon sunlight of rural Kentucky slanted across the wide, wooden planks of the porch. Tammy Slaton was nestled comfortably in the rhythmic sway of the porch swing, her phone a glowing portal to the world outside, scrolling through an endless stream of digital ephemera. The air was thick with the lazy hum of summer and the faint, comforting scent of fresh-cut grass. Inside, the living room was a sanctuary of semi-slumber. Tammy Slaton was deep in her recliner, the television flickering with a mindless reality TV rerun, a show she was only half watching, the other half of her consciousness drifting into a peaceful nap. A sudden, sharp yell cut through the quiet. It was Amy, her voice ringing with an urgency that instantly suggested something far more compelling than the usual domestic chatter. She shouted through the thin wire mesh of the screen door. Tammy, guess what? You will never believe this. Tammy grumbled, a low, dismissive sound from the depths of her armchair. I'm not listening, Amy, if it's not about food or sleep. Don't interrupt my beauty rest for nothing. Amy's reply was laced with a joyful, knowing laugh. It's about London, honey. That single word was a bolt of lightning. Tammy was awake instantly, her drowsiness vaporized. She used the power of her arms to expertly roll her electric wheelchair, the motor whirring softly as she propelled herself toward the entrance, her face a mask of sudden, intense curiosity. London? Tammy questioned, her voice still thick with the residue of sleep, but now edged with genuine excitement. London like fish and chips and that big Ferris wheel? Red Bus London? Or are we talking about the dinky little London, Kentucky? The real London, girl? Amy confirmed, an exaggerated sneer of pure delight painting her features. Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, tea and crumpets. The whole shebang. Amy explained the incredible, almost unbelievable truth. Weeks ago, driven by a momentary hunger pang after seeing an irresistible photo of a colossal plate of golden, buttery scones, she had impulsively entered an obscure online contest for a dream vacation giveaway. She had dismissed it immediately afterward, filing it under things that will never happen. Yet, against every imaginable odd, she had won. The prize was extraordinary. 2 first-class plane tickets, a luxurious, week-long stay at a sophisticated 4-star hotel in the heart of the city, and a completely private, bespoke tour of London's most magnificent attractions. It was a jackpot that had landed squarely in the lap of 2 sisters from Dixon, Kentucky. For Tammy, the concept of air travel was a complete novelty. She had never once been on a plane. Amy had flown before, but certainly never in the rarefied atmosphere of first class. Airplane above the clouds. Fancy now the experience began to feel surreal the moment they stepped aboard. Tammy was openly astounded by the sheer scale of the first-class seats, massive, plush thrones of comfort. The blankets were softer than any she had ever touched, and before the plane had even taxied, a sophisticated flight attendant was offering her a glass of chilled champagne. Tammy leaned over, her voice a reverent whisper to Amy. "Girl, this ain't no Greyhound bus. This is nice." Amy beamed, taking in the scene with a triumphant air. "That's right, Tams. We're fancy now. Time to act like it." The flight attendants, impeccably dressed and radiating a serene patience, were exceptionally kind, accommodating Tammy's enthusiastic requests for every available snack, peanuts, pretzels, and the slightly bewildered inquiry for, "Whatever else y'all got back there?" Amy, meanwhile, became thoroughly captivated by the in-flight entertainment system, pushing buttons with reckless abandon in her excitement. She became so lost in the technological marvel that she unintentionally summoned the flight attendant 4 times in a rapid succession of accidental rings, each time apologizing with a mix of genuine embarrassment and uncontainable giddiness. The 8-hour flight passed in a blink, fueled by snacks, cinematic wonder, and the sheer exhilaration of ascending to a new level of travel luxury. Airplane arrival, London calling. The grand arrival upon landing at Heathrow, the fairy tale continued. Stepping into the arrivals hall, they were met by a smartly dressed driver holding a sign that proudly proclaimed, "Slaton Sisters." For Tammy, this moment, being officially grandly awaited, was perhaps the most thrilling and validating experience of her life. Their transportation was a sleek, black luxury sedan that navigated the sprawling city streets until they reached their destination. The hotel was a marvel of modern elegance, and their room, situated on an upper floor, offered a breathtaking panoramic view of the River Thames. Tammy immediately gravitated to the window, gazing out at the monumental scale of the city lights reflecting on the dark water. "Amy," she breathed, her voice filled with awe, "it's like someone built a whole city just to take a perfect picture of it. It's too pretty." Amy, already busy unzipping her massive suitcase, ready to explode its contents, nodded without looking away from her task. "And we're going to take pictures of everything, girl. Starting right now." Guarding the Queen, royal attempts at comedy. Their first destination was the quintessential London landmark, Buckingham Palace. Amy had gone all out for the occasion, donning a Union Jack t-shirt she had purchased at an inflated price in a moment of patriotic fervor at the airport gift shop. Tammy, not to be outdone, sported a playful, sparkly crown-shaped headband, making her look like a benevolent, if slightly sassy, monarch. As they stood before the imposing, wrought iron gates, they joined the crowd gathered to observe the stoic palace guards. They waved enthusiastically at one of the guards standing sentinel in his bearskin hat and immaculate red tunic. He, of course, remained perfectly, utterly motionless. Tammy observed the scene with her characteristic bluntness. "Lord, Amy, look at them. They're like living statues with muscles. They ain't even blinking." Amy, determined to elicit some reaction, edged closer and told a poor, deeply Midwestern dad joke about tea bags, something about them being steeped in history. The guard remained unfazed, a pillar of disciplined silence. The attempt at levity had been a miserable failure, but the sisters laughed at the sheer absurdity of trying to crack a royal guard. Bus a tour from the top, Big Ben and beyond. Their official tour guide then directed them to London's iconic transportation, the famous red double-decker bus. Tammy, embracing the full tourist experience, was absolutely adamant that they sit on the very top level. Amy was initially nervous, clutching the rail as the bus swayed and negotiated the tight corners of the city streets. But Tammy was entirely in her element, leaning forward and pointing out every famous structure with the fervor of a seasoned explorer on a crucial mission. She had seen these places in movies and instantly recognized them. "Big Ben," she shouted, unnecessarily loud, as the massive clock tower came into view. That's the clock from every movie ever made. Look at it. Moments late, as they crossed the magnificent structure with its Gothic towers. Tower Bridge. That's the bridge from Spider-Man. Oh my God, we're actually on it. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Amy soon relaxed, forgetting her fear of heights in the face of Tammy's sheer, unadulterated joy. Shortcake, the sacred ritual. Afternoon tea midweek, they were booked for a traditional English afternoon tea. Tammy was initially skeptical, assuming tea meant a little cup of hot water and maybe a plain biscuit, a distinctly unfulfilling prospect. When the waiter presented the masterpiece, a three-tiered platter laden with an array of dainty finger sandwiches, exquisitely small pastries, and, most importantly, golden, towering scones, Tammy's eyes went wide with pure, astonished hunger. "Amy, they're little sandwiches," she exclaimed, her voice filled with the wonder of a culinary discovery. "I could eat 10 of these and still have room for all that cake up there." Amy, however, had a religious experience with the clotted cream. She spread a generous, almost obscene amount on her scone, tasting it slowly. "Tammy, listen to me. This stuff, it's like butter, but it's fluffier. It's like a cloud. I swear I'm going to take some home in my purse." The server, hovering nearby, quickly and respectfully intervened. "I do apologize, madam, but attempting to bring clotted cream through airport security may present a slight, technical difficulty." Amy acknowledged the problem with a sigh, but the server noticed the unmistakable, mischievous glint in her eye. She looked like a woman who was already plotting a highly specialized, insulated smuggling operation. Shopping bags, market finds, and magical moments, the subsequent days were a whirlwind of authentic London experiences. They immersed themselves in the vibrant, eclectic chaos of Camden Market. Amy, drawn to the sheer vibes of the place, found and purchased a beautiful, slightly battered old teapot. Tammy, using her keen eye for comfort, discovered a stall. The final glimpse of London, the small crowd on Westminster Bridge swelled, their phones held high, recognizing the familiar, compelling faces of the Slaton sisters. Amy and Tammy were suddenly enveloped in a spontaneous, warm British welcome. Tammy, who had spent her life trying to shrink from critical public attention, now basked in the pure, adoring glow of fandom. "You all are making me feel like genuine royalty," Tammy declared to a beaming young woman who had just requested a selfie. She puffed out her chest playfully. "From now on, just call me Queen Tammy." Amy, ever the quick-witted foil, nudged her sister gently, a familiar giggle escaping her lips. "Oh, royalty, huh? You mean Her Royal Highness of Snacks and Sass, don't you?" Their final night in London was dedicated to a gentle, contemplative journey on the London Eye, the colossal Ferris wheel that offered a breathtaking, slowly rotating panorama of the city. As their glass capsule ascended, the city below transformed into a dazzling tapestry of glittering lights, reflected exquisitely on the dark, winding ribbon of the Thames. Tammy gazed out, the usually boisterous tone of her voice replaced by a quiet, profound awe. "I never, ever thought I'd see a place like this, Amy." Amy's smile was soft, reflecting the serenity of the view. "Me neither, Tams. But look at us. We did it. We did it together." The next morning, the jet hummed, lifting them away from the grandeur of Europe and back toward the familiar landscape of home. Tammy was already a whirlwind of future plans before the wheels were even fully retracted. "Next time, Amy, we gotta do Paris. Or maybe Italy. They got all that pasta, girl." Amy didn't know where their next adventure would take them, but she knew one thing with absolute certainty. Wherever they went, it would be a chaotic, laughter-filled journey fueled by endless munchies and the unique, irrepressible energy that only the Slaton sisters could generate. Landing back in Kentucky, the viral conflict, taking control of the narrative for Tammy Slaton, the feeling of being watched was a lifelong burden. As a child, the attention had been corrosive. The hushed whispers of classmates, the open, painful stares of strangers, and the family comments, often poorly intentioned, that cut deeper than she ever let on. But now, at 29, with the unblinking, professional cameras of 1,000-pound sisters documenting her every move, Tammy was determined to seize control of her own story. She was no longer shrinking from the lens. She was looking directly into it, projecting a voice that, despite years of being minimized, simply would not be ignored. It was a hot, muggy Thursday morning in Kentucky. Tammy sat cross-legged on her bed, scrolling through her phone, her thumb hovering over the newest trailer released for the upcoming season. A particular clip caught her eye, a 15-second soundbite. It showed her taking a defiant bite of pizza, a genuine laugh bubbling up, followed by a pointed, on-camera declaration. "My family's just jealous of me." Her stomach lurched. She knew, with the chilling certainty of a television star, that this statement was destined to go viral, igniting the internet. While not entirely inaccurate, she felt the truth in the statement down to her core. She knew the domestic trouble it would unleash. Taking a deep, preparatory breath, she bit her lip and called Amy. "Hey," she began, forcing a lightness into her tone. Have you seen the new trailer yet?" Amy's voice was instantly guarded, strained, carrying an undertone of deep hurt and confusion. "Yeah, I saw it. Tammy, why would you say that about us?" Tammy flopped back dramatically onto her pillows. "Because it's true, Amy. You guys are always judging what I do, what I eat, and how I look. I've had enough of it." The words, once spoken, were sharp and cutting, even to her own ears. Amy let out a profound, weary sigh. "Tammy, I get it. You're under a lot of pressure, and..." The viral conflict, taking control of the narrative for Tammy Slaton, the feeling of being watched was a lifelong burden. As a child, the attention had been corrosive. The hushed whispers of classmates, the open, painful stares of strangers, and the family comments, often poorly intentioned, that cut deeper than she ever let on. But now, at 29, with the unblinking, professional cameras of 1,000-pound sisters documenting her every move, Tammy was determined to seize control of her own story. She was no longer shrinking from the lens. She was looking directly into it, projecting a voice that, despite years of being minimized, simply would not be ignored. It was a hot, muggy Thursday morning in Kentucky. Tammy sat cross-legged on her bed, scrolling through her phone, her thumb hovering over the newest trailer released for the upcoming season. A particular clip caught her eye, a 15-second soundbite. It showed her taking a defiant bite of pizza, a genuine laugh bubbling up, followed by a pointed, on-camera declaration. "My family's just jealous of me." Her stomach lurched. She knew, with the chilling certainty of a television star, that this statement was destined to go viral, igniting the internet. While not entirely inaccurate, she felt the truth in the statement down to her core. She knew the domestic trouble it would unleash. Taking a deep, preparatory breath, she bit her lip and called Amy. "Hey," she began, forcing a lightness into her tone. Have you seen the new trailer yet?" Amy's voice was instantly guarded, strained, carrying an undertone of deep hurt and confusion. "Yeah, I saw it. Tammy, why would you say that about us?" Tammy flopped back dramatically onto her pillows. "Because it's true."